He stood there in front of everyone, his heart pounding. The girl he loved had just laughed in his face, her words cutting through him like a knife. You? You thought I'd go out with someone like you? The crowd erupted in laughter, their mocking voices ringing in his ears as he turned and walked away, tears burning his eyes. But years later, when they met again, it was her turn to be left speechless. The boy's name was Ethan, a 17-year-old high school student with a quiet and shy demeanor. He was the kind of boy who preferred staying in the background, unnoticed. Ethan lived with his single mother, who worked tirelessly to support their modest household. Despite his struggles, Ethan was kind-hearted and a dreamer, always hoping for something greater. In the bustling halls of the school, there was one person who always caught his attention: Sophia. She was everything Ethan admired: confident, intelligent, and effortlessly charming. Sophia was the most popular girl in school, always surrounded by friends and laughter. To Ethan, she wasn't just beautiful. Her smile carried a warmth that seemed to light up every room she entered. But Ethan kept his admiration a secret. He watched her from afar, his heart racing whenever she walked by. He often imagined what it would be like to talk to her, to make her laugh. Yet, the thought of approaching her filled him with fear. Why would someone like her ever notice someone like me, he would think to himself. And so he admired her in silence, a quiet dreamer too afraid to take a step forward. Ethan had spent weeks summoning the courage to tell Sophia how he felt. Every day, he rehearsed the words in his mind, imagining how the moment would play out. He thought of every detail: what he'd say, where he'd say it, and how she might smile in response. Finally, the perfect opportunity presented itself: the school's annual spring festival. The courtyard buzzed with excitement as students gathered for games and performances. Ethan spotted Sophia with her friends, her laughter ringing through the air. His heart pounded as he gripped the small bouquet of flowers he had bought, determined to make this moment special. As he approached her, the world around him seemed to blur. "Sophia," he began, his voice trembling but earnest, "I just wanted to tell you, I've liked you for a long time. You're amazing, and I'd really like to take you out sometime." For a brief moment, there was silence. Sophia turned to him, her face unreadable. Then she laughed, a loud, mocking laugh that made Ethan's stomach drop. "You? Take me out?" she said, her tone dripping with disbelief. "Ethan, do you even own a mirror?" Her friends burst into laughter, some whispering while others openly pointed at him. Ethan felt his cheeks burn as humiliation washed over him. He glanced at the bouquet in his hand, now feeling like a fool. His legs felt like lead, but somehow he managed to turn and walk away, the sound of their laughter echoing in his ears. Alone behind the school gym, Ethan's tears finally fell. His chest ached with the weight of rejection, and his mind swirled with doubt. He replayed Sophia's words over and over, each time cutting deeper. "How could I ever think she'd say yes?" he muttered to himself, his voice shaking with emotion. The rejection left Ethan feeling shattered. For days, he avoided everyone, retreating into his small room where the silence became both a comfort and a weight. His textbooks lay untouched, and the bouquet he had once clutched so tightly sat wilting in the corner. He stared at the ceiling, replaying Sophia's words in his mind like a broken record. "You? Do you even own a mirror?" One evening, Ethan's mother knocked softly on his door. "Ethan, you're stronger than this," she said, her voice filled with quiet determination. "I know it hurts, but you can't let this define you." Her words stayed with him long after she left. That night, as he stared at his reflection in the mirror, something shifted. For the first time, he saw not just the pain, but a desire to prove everyone wrong, not for Sophia, but for himself. The next morning, Ethan wrote a list. Goals for a better me. It was simple but clear. Work out 3 times a week, eat healthier, and focus on his dream of starting his own business. Slowly, he began to act on it. The first trip to the gym was daunting. He felt out of place among the weights and machines, but he pushed through. One step at a time, he started to see progress. His arms grew stronger, his posture straighter, and his confidence slowly began to build. Ethan didn't stop there. He spent hours reading books on entrepreneurship, sketching ideas for a product he believed in. He even started working part-time at a small cafe, saving every penny to invest in his future. Each small victory felt like a triumph. His first pull-up at the gym, a compliment from a coworker on his improved style, and finally the launch of his own online business. With every step, he became more confident, more resilient, and more sure of his worth. Years passed, and Ethan's hard work began to pay off. His online business, which started as a small project, had grown into a successful venture. Ethan was now a well-respected entrepreneur, with articles written about him in local business magazines. His once shy demeanor was replaced by quiet confidence, and he walked into every room with a sense of purpose. One evening, at a charity gala hosted by a prominent organization, Ethan was invited as a guest speaker. Dressed in a sharp black suit, he addressed the audience with a calm and composed voice, sharing his journey of perseverance and self-belief. The room erupted in applause, and as he stepped off the stage, he found himself surrounded by admirers and potential business partners. Among the crowd, there was a face he hadn't seen in years: Sophia. She looked at him, her eyes wide with recognition. "Ethan? Is that you?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Gone was the arrogant girl who once mocked him. Instead, she seemed nervous, almost shy. Ethan turned to her, a polite smile on his face. "Sophia," he said, his tone calm and measured. "It's been a long time." They chatted briefly, and Sophia couldn't help but compliment him. "You've really changed," she said, her voice trailing off. "I've heard about your success. It's amazing." She hesitated for a moment before adding, "Maybe we could catch up sometime. Grab coffee or something?" Ethan's smile remained, but his words were firm yet kind. "I appreciate that, Sophia, but I've moved on. I hope you're doing well." With that, he excused himself, leaving Sophia standing there, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. As Ethan walked away, he felt a sense of closure. It wasn't about revenge or proving anything anymore. He had found his worth, and it no longer depended on anyone else's validation. As the gala continued, Ethan stepped out onto the terrace, seeking a moment of quiet away from the crowd. The city lights sparkled in the distance, a calm contrast to the lively event inside. He was lost in thought when he heard footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw Sophia approaching, her expression hesitant yet determined. "Ethan," she began softly, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. The way I treated you back in school, it wasn't right, and I've regretted it ever since." Her voice trembled slightly, the confident girl he once knew now replaced by someone more subdued. Ethan listened calmly, his expression neutral yet kind. "Sophia," he replied, "thank you for saying that. It means a lot. But I've moved past it. Those experiences shaped me, and I'm grateful for who I've become because of them." She hesitated, then said, "I was wondering if we could start over, maybe get to know each other again." Her words hung in the air, filled with hope. Ethan smiled gently but firmly. "Sophia, I appreciate that, but I've learned something important. My worth doesn't depend on what anyone else thinks. I've found happiness and fulfillment in my life, and I wouldn't change that for anything." Sophia nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting a mix of regret and understanding. "I wish you all the best, Ethan," she said softly. And I wish the same for you, Ethan replied with a genuine smile. As she walked away, Ethan turned back to the cityscape, a sense of closure washing over him. He had faced his past, and this time, he walked away on his terms. Ethan sat in his office, the morning sun streaming through the large windows, casting a warm glow across the room. As he reviewed the milestones he had achieved, he couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. The boy who once doubted his worth was now a man who knew his value. He thought about the rejection that had once broken him. At the time, it had felt like the end of the world, but in reality, it was the spark that ignited his transformation. He had turned pain into purpose, proving that even the harshest moments could be stepping stones to greatness. Ethan smiled as he remembered the words he once wrote, "Goals for a better me." They had started as small steps, but each one built a foundation of resilience, self-belief, and fulfillment. Rejection isn't the end, Ethan thought to himself. It's often the beginning of a better version of yourself. The scene shifts to Ethan speaking directly to the camera, addressing the audience with warmth and sincerity. We all face moments that challenge us, moments that make us question our worth. But remember, your value doesn't depend on someone else's opinion. You have the power to grow, to rise, and to become the best version of yourself. Never forget that. He pauses, letting the words sink in before adding, "If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible stories like this. Your journey is just beginning.